There are mistakes in the world of power that are never written in books. They don't live in laws. They don't echo in polished speeches about ethics or justice, and they don't come with warnings. They arrive silently, not with swords or battles, but with a single decision to let something wrong slide. A glance away from betrayal, a nod to silence when truth needed a voice, and in that moment, your downfall begins, not with chaos, but with tolerance. This isn't for the comfort seekers. This isn't for the dreamers. This is a brutal map of the fractures that break empires, that rot leadership from the inside, and corrode trust faster than any enemy ever could. Because power doesn't collapse in a roar, it erodes, quietly, by greed, by masks, by those who smile in light but dig graves in the dark. And if you fail to see it, if you hesitate to confront it, you won't be destroyed by some force far away. You'll be destroyed by the ones closest to you. Today we expose 7 behaviors that must never be tolerated. 7 silent poisons that dissolve reputation, integrity, and influence. If you're someone others follow, or someone building a life meant to last, you need to see this through. And if a single line touches a truth you've been avoiding, then don't scroll past it. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with the men still asleep. Because sometimes, it's not your strength that saves you, it's your ability to recognize what should never be allowed. Betrayal in times of crisis. They say loyalty reveals itself over time. But Machiavelli knew better. Time doesn't test loyalty. Crisis does. When skies are blue and gold flows freely, everyone claps for you. Everyone swears loyalty. But wait for the fire. Wait for the winds to change. Wait for the moment the ship starts sinking. Then you'll see the truth. Because loyalty isn't what they say at your table. It's what they do when the table is overturned. You've seen them. The ones who danced at your victories, who drank your wine, laughed at your jokes, and promised they'd bleed for you. But the second the crown tilts, they disappear. No message, no gesture, just absence. And a silence that screams louder than betrayal ever could. Worse still, when you survive, when you crawl out of the fire, and they return. With soft apologies, wrapped in rehearsed excuses. I didn't know what to do. I had my own problems. I wanted to help, but nothing. Because silence is a statement, absence is a choice. And betrayal doesn't always wear a dagger. Sometimes it wears a polite excuse. The moment you forgive this from weakness, you declare a silent law. Loyalty is optional. From then on, people don't follow you. They calculate you. They don't admire you. They assess your value. You become a figure to be weighed, not followed. A leader doesn't need a crowd. He needs one soul who stands when everything falls. One spine in the chaos is worth more than 100 hands. In calm, Machiavelli knew, betrayal isn't just personal. It's political. It's structural. If your inner circle sees you can be abandoned, they'll believe you're no longer untouchable. And when power becomes touchable, it becomes replaceable. No one stays loyal to the king left to bleed alone, and the one who vanished in your crisis, he'll be the first to turn when your back is exposed. You may convince yourself they probably had a reason. But Machiavelli would say, absence doesn't need reasons. It is a declaration. So when you fall and no one reaches, don't seek comfort. Don't seek answers. Remember faces. And if you rise again, never let those faces return, because every time you welcome back betrayal, you carve new commandments into your kingdom. Just wait long enough. You'll be forgiven. That's not how you build an empire. That's how you bury one, from the inside out. Cowardice in leadership. A leader is not defined by charm, not by words, not by how many people laugh in their presence. A leader is defined by the weight they're willing to carry, especially when the weight is ugly, especially when it means saying what no one wants to hear. But then there's the other kind, the kind Machiavelli feared, the coward who leads, the man with a title, but no spine. You'll recognize him. He avoids confrontation like it's poison. He lets chaos unfold in whispers, allows rumors to breed like rats in the dark. because addressing them would mean offending someone. He tells himself he's being diplomatic, that he's keeping the peace. But peace without confrontation is a lie. It's rot, disguised as harmony. In truth, he's not leading. He's managing appearances. He's more afraid of being disliked than he is of being disrespected. And that fear, it seeps into everything. He says yes when he should say no. He delays punishment. He softens the truth until it becomes meaningless. And the people around him? They don't respect him. They study him. They learn exactly how far they can push before he cracks. A coward in leadership teaches one dangerous lesson. There are no consequences. And where there are no consequences, there is no order, no hierarchy, no kingdom. The worst part, he often doesn't even see it. He thinks he's being kind. He believes that avoiding discomfort is emotional intelligence. But Machiavelli would laugh. He'd say, mercy without judgment is weakness. Kindness without strength is a performance. Because when things go wrong, when lines are crossed, when loyalty fades, and you ask this coward to act, he hesitates. He delays. He wants someone else to make the call, and when he finally does, it's too late. The damage has rooted itself deep, not just in the situation but in the culture he allowed. Because in the absence of strength, people build their own rules, and in the absence of justice, they create their own revenge. A leader must not flinch. He must not fold, not because he enjoys conflict, but because he understands its necessity. To tolerate cowardice in leadership is to sabotage the structure from the core, because sooner or later the moment will come. A decision must be made. Something must be said. A stand must be taken. And if your leader blinks in that moment, everything underneath him collapses. So if you're the leader, speak when silence is easier. Confront when your hands tremble. Decide when others delay. And if someone wears the crown but hides from the battlefield, do not call him king. Call him what he is, a placeholder, a temporary symbol waiting to be replaced. Greed in times of scarcity. Watch a man when there's less on the table, less food, less money, less certainty, and you'll see who he truly is. Scarcity doesn't build character, it reveals it. Machiavelli didn't fear hunger. He feared the man who turns it into opportunity. Not to build, but to hoard. Not to lead, but to exploit. When times are hard, the greedy don't panic. They plan. They sharpen their knives behind smiles. They calculate how much more power they can steal while everyone else is distracted by survival. They'll raise prices, cut corners, sell you poison wrapped in gold. And when you beg for help, they'll call it a transaction. You think they're smart, efficient. You call it just business. But Machiavelli would whisper, no, this is betrayal disguised as brilliance. Because greed in abundance is disgusting. But greed in scarcity? That's evil. It corrupts systems from the inside. The man who could have shared, didn't. The leader who could have rationed, sold instead. The one who had enough, took more, just to feel safe, while others choked, and make no mistake. Greed is never just about money. It's about control, power, dominance. The greedy man doesn't want more because he needs it. He wants you to have less. He wants to watch you depend on him, beg from him, fear him. He builds a throne out of your desperation. But here's the irony Machiavelli knew too well. In times of famine, the people don't forget. They may kneel, for now. They may obey while they're starving, but they remember who profited from their pain. And when the tide turns, when the hunger becomes rage, the greedy are the first to bleed. So if you're the one in power when things go dark, be careful. This is the moment that defines you. Because in scarcity, every action echoes. And what you take for yourself will be remembered louder than what you gave. And if you're watching someone hoard while others suffer, don't be fooled by his suits, his calm voice, his fake humility. He's not strong. He's not clever. He's a coward in velvet gloves, afraid that if the playing field were ever fair, he'd have nothing. Machiavelli knew the truly powerful man isn't the one who grabs when the world is weak. It's the one who stands up, gives first, and still commands respect. The charming manipulator. He walks into the room, and everything softens. The tension, the doubt, even your sense of self. He smiles, and suddenly, you feel seen, understood, important. But make no mistake, this is not kindness. It's a strategy. Machiavelli feared the swords of soldiers, but he respected the man who didn't need one. Because the charming manipulator doesn't conquer with weapons. He conquers with emotion. He makes you feel like you chose him, like it was your idea all along. He doesn't force loyalty. He manufactures it. He doesn't demand power. He seduces it out of you. These people are not loud. They don't need to be. They observe, mirror your language, your rhythm, your values. Until you drop your guard and open the gates yourself. You tell them your secrets because they ask the right questions. You trust them because they nod at the right moment. But what you don't see is that they're collecting leverage. Every laugh, every confession, every fragile truth you gave them in vulnerability. It becomes a blade. Not today, not tomorrow, but when it benefits them most, they'll use your own words to cage you. And the worst part, you'll still think they care. Machiavelli warned, men are so simple and so obedient to present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will let himself be deceived. You think you're immune? Think again. Because charm doesn't come for the weak. It targets the intelligent, the skeptical, the ones who believe they can't be fooled. That's the real art of manipulation. Not just making you obey, but making you believe it was your idea to begin with. So how do you see them? Watch for the one who praises you a little too perfectly, who agrees with you before you've even finished speaking, who flatters your ego but never challenges your mind. Ask yourself, why do I feel so safe with this person? Why do they always know what to say? Because if something feels too smooth, too effortless, it probably is. Charm is not a sign of honesty. It's a weapon in disguise. And when someone is always liked, always trusted, always loved, ask the real question, what's hiding behind the mask? Machiavelli knew the truth. The prince who is feared and not hated has more lasting power than the one who is loved without limits. So be careful who you love. Be wary of the ones who make you feel perfect. They might be polishing the chains they plan to put on you. The ally who keeps you weak. They say they want what's best for you. They call themselves your friend, your mentor, your partner, but something isn't right. You don't feel stronger after talking to them. You feel smaller, more doubtful, less certain of who you are. They never yell. They don't insult you outright. Instead, they offer concern. Are you sure you can handle that? That seems like a lot for someone like you. I'm just looking out for you. It sounds like care, but it smells like control. This is the ally who subtly anchors you to your limitations, who feeds you just enough approval to keep you loyal, but never enough to let you grow, because your strength threatens them. Your independence exposes their weakness, so they clip your wings with gentle words, with soft doubts, with a touch of condescension that's so subtle, you almost thank them for it. Machiavelli warned us, it is much safer to be feared than loved, if one must choose. But what about those who love you, just enough to keep you tame? This is not love. It's disguised dependence. These people need you to need them. They build their identity around being your advisor, your emotional crutch. If you evolve, if you no longer rely on them, their power evaporates. So they plant tiny seeds of insecurity. In your mind, you're not ready, you're not capable, you're not like those other people. And you start to believe it. Not because they hurt you, but because they cared for you in all the wrong ways. You stay in your box. You don't take the risk. You thank them for keeping you safe. But safety isn't freedom. It's a velvet cage. Ask yourself, why do they only support you when your dreams are small? Why do they comfort your fears, but never challenge them? Are they truly helping you? Or are they helping themselves stay? relevant in your life, because the most dangerous prison is the one built by someone you trust. Machiavelli believed power was not just about rule, it was about perception. And if someone can shape the way you see yourself, they don't need to control your actions. They've already won. Be wary of the ally who always has advice but never ambition, who calms your chaos but never fuels your fire. Because sometimes, the softest hand is the one that holds you down. The puppet master who creates conflict. He walks into the room and nothing seems different. He smiles, he listens, he asks all the right questions. But something changes. People start doubting each other. Misunderstandings appear out of nowhere. Trust begins to rot, quietly, invisibly, and no one knows why, until you look closely and realize someone has been pulling strings. This is the puppet master, a master manipulator who doesn't want power through dominance but through division. They don't scream, they whisper, they don't attack, they suggest, just enough to twist your perspective, to poison the air between allies, to fracture any unity that might threaten them. Machiavelli saw this clearly. A wise ruler must beware those who sow discord to appear necessary. Because some people create chaos just to clean it up, so they can be seen as saviors. They stir the pot, watch the fire catch, then walk in with a bucket of water and a smug smile. You thank them, not realizing they were the ones who set the blaze. You don't remember what started the fight, you just know who helped resolve it. This is how they gain control, by turning people against each other, while standing at the center as the false voice of reason. They get close to everyone, but stay loyal to no one, because real loyalty threatens their throne. They thrive in tension. They create subtle rivalries, comparisons that spark resentment. Why didn't you get credit for that? Funny, they said something different to me. And just like that, you stop seeing your friend as a friend. You start seeing them as competition. The puppet master has succeeded. Machiavelli warned of such people in courts and councils. Those who don't seek power directly, but ensure others can never unite against them. They don't need a crown. They just need a divided room. Because a divided room is silent, confused, afraid. And in that silence, they speak the loudest. Ask yourself, who benefits when the people around you no longer trust each other? Who always seems to be in the middle of problems they never claim to start? And more importantly, why do they never get burned in the fires that follow them? Sometimes the most dangerous enemy isn't the one who strikes you from the front. It's the one who stirs the conflict behind your back, then walks away clean. The noble who uses virtue as a weapon. He walks with a calm certainty. His words are measured, his tone sincere. He speaks of honor, justice, and truth. You want to believe him. You want to trust that he stands for what is right. But beneath the polished surface lies a sharp edge, a weapon crafted from virtue itself. This is the noble, not a humble servant of goodness, but a strategist who wields morality like a sword. He knows that in a world where everyone fights for power, the greatest power is to appear above it all. He preaches integrity, but only when it suits his agenda. He demands loyalty, but from those who serve his vision. Watch how he uses righteousness to silence dissent. A subtle guilt in his voice, a pointed question about your motives, a reminder of what is proper or just. He creates an invisible cage of expectations. You are either with him or you are morally suspect. In his hands, virtue becomes a tool of control, a way to isolate enemies as immoral or corrupt, a way to paint himself as the only beacon of true honor. Machiavelli warned that rulers must never appear cruel, yet the noble's cruelty hides behind a mask of moral superiority. He judges with a smile, punishes with social exclusion, and conquers with the power of the crowd's approval. Those who question him are branded as rebels, disruptors of order, threats to the common good. But the question remains, is his virtue genuine or just a cloak to hide ambition? Because sometimes the greatest tyranny is dressed in the robes of righteousness. And the most dangerous battlefield is not the open war, but the war for your conscience. The opportunist who exploits chaos. Chaos is the wind, wild and unpredictable. Most scramble to find shelter, to hold on, to survive. But the opportunist? He dances in the storm. Where others see disaster, he sees a doorway, a chance to climb higher, to snatch power from crumbling hands. He waits patiently in the shadows, his eyes sharp, calculating. Not bound by loyalty, not held by ideology, he moves with ruthless flexibility. He knows no true allegiance, only to advantage. When systems crumble, he is there to pick the bones. He befriends the desperate, whispers promises of hope, only to discard them once they've served their purpose. He exploits fear, uncertainty, and confusion, turning them into fuel for his ascent. Every scandal, every scandalized rival, is a ladder for him to climb. Every fracture in loyalty, every crack in trust, is a tool to pry open opportunity. He is the master of disguise, wearing the mask that fits the moment. A friend, a savior, a rebel, or a loyal servant. But beneath all masks lies a cold truth. The opportunist thrives on chaos, not order. His power is transient, unstable, yet in the shifting sands of turmoil, he is king. Because when the world is burning, it is not the strongest who survive, but the one who adapts, who bends, shifts, and seizes. And sometimes that means stepping on others without regret, taking what is not given, and discarding loyalty as a weakness. Machiavelli saw this clearly. He warned that in times of chaos, the most dangerous are those who serve only themselves. The opportunist is that danger, a shadow lurking in every crisis, a force that rides the storm until he rules what is left in its wake.